Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from the Food Fizz about how they made the world's crispiest French fry.
Are French fries healthy now? Restaurants are starting to ditch the oils
Go
we're
on.
used to and switching over to beef tallow, beef fat, to cook their fries because it might just be a healthier method to cook them. Question is it? And even if it is, does it make fries taste better or worse? Turns out the best thing to fry fries might be something else entirely.
Like what? Air fryer?
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the channel that always
I've heard good things about air fryers. In fact, so good, my mom has one.
wants fries with that. On that subject, did you know that the average American eats about 34 pounds of fries a year? That's roughly
that's a lot of potato.
2,700 fries. That's 200,000 fries in an average American lifetime. With all of that sodium and cholesterol, crinkle-cut connoisseurs and shoestring scholars have long wondered if there's a secret to making all of this healthier. And apparently
So
there
much
is.
potato.
The media has been abuzz lately with the latest health trends concerning America's favorite fried treat. At the suggestion of the Secretary of Health, popular East Coast fast food chain Steak and Shake recently announced their chain-wide effort to start cooking their fries in beef tallow. Reason being that the beef tallow will help make the French fries be a little bit better for you in the long run.
So while we figure out if beef tallow does make fries healthier, I'm gonna conduct a fun little experiment, a little side quest actually. I'm gonna be seeing if beef tallow or any of these other oils are the best thing to fry fries in. So we have the most common oils you'll find for frying fries: avocado oil, vegetable and canola, beef tallow, peanut oil, and olive oil. How this is gonna go is we're gonna fry small batches of fries in each
I'm curious about the olive oil one down at the end.
one of these oils and test them for 3 different things. 1, the color. Which one of these is gonna get us to that perfect golden fry? 2, the texture. Because we wanna see which one is gonna get us to that perfect crispy fry. And finally, obviously, the flavor. Now, keep in mind with the flavor, the beef tallow is going to give it a little bit of a meatier, beefier kick, but it might overpower the flavor of the fry, whereas these other oils might be better complements for the fry flavor.
Now, I do want to be transparent about
We'll have to
something.
see.
In planning and shooting for this episode, we were always going to use the oils I just listed and showed. Then the olive oil company actually reached out to sponsor a portion of today's video despite how any experiment might go. So while we're firing up the fryers, we got to understand the science of fried foods. Because frying isn't just delicious, there's actually some fascinating science behind it. When you're frying something, it's not just the hot oil seeping in and cooking whatever it is you're planning to munch on. What happens is the hot oil, typically around 375 degrees Fahrenheit, causes the water inside the food to freak out and instantly turn to steam. That steam rushes to the surface of the food and pushes the oil away, creating a type of steam barrier. The oil doesn't actually soak in, at least not immediately. Instead, the steam forms that protective layer so the surface can get blasted with that heat and evenly cook your fries. But the real golden alchemy of frying is that it creates that crisp, brown, and delectable taste. And that is from the Maillard reaction, which is a chemical reaction where the proteins and sugars in a food break up.
That's a sweet potato.
And then react with one another to create new flavors. These new compounds are called melanoidins, and they're the responsible parties behind making your food smell, look, and taste great. You can thank them for the kind of golden brown, crispy delight that will make any living creature weak in the knees. And speaking of weak in the knees, I'm obviously not going to be judging these fries alone. I'll be joined by the person that gets me weak in the knees, Claudia.
Okay, so we're just about ready to throw in our first batch of fries. For fairness, and as you'll notice this beautiful face, we have Claudia back once again. So they don't have that much more color.
More like on the tips.
I'll give this a 5 out of 10 on the goldometer.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
In terms of the crisp, that's what we like to hear. Yeah. That's a good crisp.
That's not bad. Good crunch in the mic.
It looks so dumb. I'm like, okay, crisp, perfect.
I'm gonna say 7 out of 10.
I'm gonna go 8. The flavor of the fry is really coming through and shining here.
I'm gonna rate it at an 8 for now, for taste.
I agree. I'm gonna rate it an 8 out of 10, bordering on a 9, but I'm gonna put it on an 8 for now.
See that golden goodness, that flavorful fry, that mouth-watering potato? Nailed it! It's thanks to our sponsor for today's
what?
video, Graza. Graza is hands down the best olive oil you will use for your cooking. Not because it's the best tasting, even though it is. Not because it's affordable, even though it is. Not because it's an alternative to water for your slip and slide, even though it definitely is.
Maybe don't.
But because their naming convention is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I said what I said, I'm leading into it. Their trio of products, the Drizzle, Sizzle, and Frizzle, sound like Snoop is the head of their PR, but they're so good, I think they may secretly have Martha Stewart as their head of R&D. The Drizzle is the most flavorful and goes great in your dressings or drizzled on some baguette with flaky salt. The Sizzle is a little milder and is great for marinades or a little saute. And now they have a big bad little bro, the Frizzle. It's still 100% high quality olive oil. None of this blend stuff, no chemicals, no corners cut. But here's the thing, it's got a nice neutral flavor that makes it perfect for replacing whatever your go-to frying oil is right now. It's clean, super fresh, and will have your fries or steaks or even cookies coming out better and more delicious than ever. And listen, it doesn't matter what you do with
I'm a little iffy about putting olive oil in cookies.
in the kitchen. Graza's got you covered. Use the Frizzle for your frying, rub the Sizzle on your steaks, drizzle the Drizzle on literally whatever you want, even yourself. Please don't. Though I do understand the amazing squeeze bottles might make it tempting. But do go to the link below so that you can get your hands on some of this oil for yourself. Thanks again to Graza for sponsoring this video. Get 10% off the trio via the link in my description or QR code on screen. Now let's get back to some frizzling. I mean frying. Oh, I'm gonna be doing that all day now. So while not the best showing in color, the crisp was fairly strong and the flavor was a good showing for the first round. Now we're gonna be talking about how delicious fries are throughout this whole thing, but it's important to remember that there's a downside to frying. The same cooking process that produces our favorite treats also makes them undeniably unhealthier. And it doesn't really matter what you fry, from vegetables to proteins to Twinkies, frying is gonna make that food worse for your body. I know.
Yes.
I've been using the excuse that French fries are basically a vegetable for my late night fast food cravings too. But in reality, any health benefits gained from eating French fries come from the nutrients in the potatoes themselves. And the frying process cancels nearly all of them out. But on to round two and the Five Guys' favorite, peanut oil.
So immediately, you can tell they are like significantly lighter. I noticed it as soon as they came out. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10.
4.
Definitely
They
better
don't look
light.
bad. This is crunchier, for sure.
The inside is actually fluffier now. It cooked it differently. I will say this is a 9. I don't see how you can get crispier than this. This is a 10. Flavor-wise,
I can tell this one has more of a flavor. I mean, it's peanut oil, which we know peanut oil has much more of a pronounced flavor. I like it though.
it actually ends up making the potato not stand out as much.
The olive oil taste really complements the potato, but this one, it's just like, it's there, but it's not enhancing the flavor. I'm like dying to just get some ketchup and...
Ketchup? I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 10.
I'm gonna do 6 too.
Yeah.
It's not bad, it's just like, it's not it.
Now, we're only 2 rounds in, but there is no beating that crunch. It was crispy, fluffy, literally everything a fry should be. Where the olive oil had a bit of crunch, but then potato almost separately, this made the entire experience so much more cohesive and enjoyable as a fry. That said, the flavor didn't really enhance much in the fry. It didn't quite complement it as well as the previous one. But if you're someone that cares less about the fry flavor because you like to dip or dunk it in something, peanut oil is as good as it gets for that crunch. Speaking of potatoes on their own though, they have a ton of nutritional benefits. They can be an excellent source of vitamins and minerals, like the immune system fortifying vitamin C.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, a potato has literally everything a human body would need to survive except one thing: calcium.
Brain boosting vitamin B6, and the blood and bone fortifying vitamin K. A lot of those vitamins come from the potato skin though, so by removing the skin like you would when you're preparing a standard order of fast food fries, you're cutting down on those benefits. And even if you do keep the skin, the high heat denatures the more sensitive ones like vitamin C and B. So even with a tried and true steak fry, you're losing most of the nutritional value. Beef tallow or not, the very act of frying immediately knocks it down a peg or 5 on the good for you scale.
These are, I mean, it's already a huge difference.
They're way more golden.
I love gold. So you can start seeing the color immediately. It is a big difference to the peanut oil, which was a lot more pale.
Really nice, even gold.
In terms of color, I'm gonna give this a solid 8 out of 10.
9. These are gorgeous.
Wow, that's actually a huge difference. Okay, I'll agree with you. This is a 9 out of 10.
Very bright.
Better. Oh.
That's so sad.
There we go. Scratch test.
Oh, the flavor is not it.
We're not there yet. You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know, but I can't help
You're getting
it.
ahead of yourself. It is not as crispy as the peanut oil. It's also mushier inside
Yes.
than the olive oil.
The peanut oil was top notch for me crispy wise because like I said, the crispiness like really penetrated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And we're back to first grade, everybody.
Base. No.
Just when I thought it couldn't get worse. The
Damn it.
I gave you a fun straw and you still can't drink properly. The crispiness, it doesn't like go as deep in the fry as the peanut oil. Stop.
Damn it,
You're
guys.
so
Come on.
stupid. It's more of a shallow, like, surface level crispiness. It's a 5. They're not crispy, but
The inside is much mushier. The outside is not as crispy. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I think the flavor, it stays very superficial and ends
Sorry about that. Watching a video about fries made me hungry for fries, so I went and got some fries. So, let's continue.
up feeling like a really greasy, bad fast food fry. I'm gonna give this a, what did you give it? A 3?
I don't know. It shouldn't matter. What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it a 2, because it also makes the potato taste worse.
That's what I gave it.
Ow! But that was so good!
Okay, do it again, but like a little less painful.
There you go.
Take it away. We're moving on to the next one.
What we learned in this
Next
round
oil.
is exactly why so many fast food places use vegetable oil as their go-to for frying. It provides the best golden color that neither the olive oil nor the peanut oil could get anywhere close to. Unfortunately, when
That
it comes
is true.
to everything else, it was incredibly mid. Decent crunch, but the taste was ugh. And on the subject of ugh, let's talk about the negative effects of frying for a second. According to the USDA, if your average restaurant or fast food joint is frying them up, you're looking at a lot of fat and sodium per serving. And that's the recommended
wow.
serving size of french fries, by the way. A half a cup, or 10 to 15 fries. To put that into perspective, a large order of fries from a fast food restaurant contains approximately 100 fries,
Oh,
roughly
damn.
10 times the recommended serving size. And of those 13.1 grams of fat, about 1.8 grams are saturated fat, or the quote-unquote
Oh,
bad
that's the
kind of fat
add-ons.
that can cause cholesterol to build in your bloodstream. And here's the thing, the beef tallow is even richer in those saturated fats than the other oils, like our next contender, canola oil.
You know, obviously I don't smell them, but I feel
From what I've actually heard of, canola oil is meant to be one of the healthier options.
a change in the air, which I didn't before.
There's a change in the wind.
The air got denser.
Thick with multiple C's. It's much spottier. It looks lower quality.
It looks and smells ratchet.
It looks and
Looks
smells
very
ratchet,
green.
100%.
Just like me in middle school.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to the color. Because of the spottiness, I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. Some bits are much darker, much lighter. It's so 4 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with 3.
Ugh.
Marked difference. Yeah, even the scratch test is not as satisfying as before.
Not a whole lot
That was
of
weird. That was a weird
but
experience.
still.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, you know
Okay,
what
well,
it is?
this makes sense. Just like the color is splotchy.
While
Ooh.
she gathers her life.
Let me finish.
Okay.
Just like the color is splotchy, so is the crunchiness.
I will also say it gives immediately. The other fries, every single one before this, had much more of a like, you will not take me alive. But this one, we took it alive.
Okay, so crunch, I'm giving this a 3.
I'm actually gonna give it a 2 because no texture here is working for me. Flavor-wise, the canola oil, again, it has this weird aftertaste. It is way less neutral than the vegetable oil and the peanut oil, and the flavor it has does not complement the potato like the olive oil did. This
like
to me is a
aggressive.
1 out of 10.
For me, the taste is a 1.
Yeah.
Like-
100%.
This round was rough. Canola oil is another one of those that's commonly used because it's a neutral flavor and has a relatively high smoke point. But what we found is that it makes the fries feel greasier and taste way more oily. Sure, the flavor in and of
Ugh.
itself is neutral, but you're
Okay.
still getting a lot of that oil in your mouth and almost stops you from tasting anything else. Spoiler alert, this was by far and away the overall loser. And with that,
Oh,
we
yeah, no,
wrapped
that
the
just
seed
makes
oils
sense.
for our little side quest. What's the deal with seed oils anyway? You may hear about these more and more in the coming months and years, but are they really as unhealthy as they're touted to be? Not necessarily. Because seed oils are inexpensive.
Actually, I've heard kind of the opposite, that they're meant to be one of the healthier options. I've never really heard anything said about them being unhealthy.
They're used in similarly cheap, ultra-processed foods, which can certainly be unhealthy. But the seed oils themselves aren't the bad guys. In fact, seed oils are rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which are essential to our bodies, in the right dose. Compared to some other types of fats, like trans fats or saturated fats, omega-6 fatty acids aren't nearly as unhealthy in moderation. So placing the sole blame for diabetes and obesity, heart disease, and other illnesses on seed oils isn't entirely accurate.
That's
yes,
gross.
they can be an ingredient in a heavily processed food, but adding the seed oil isn't what makes that food suddenly unhealthy. But although seed oils can be helpful to your body as part of a balanced diet, frying potatoes in seed oils like canola oil or peanut oil runs a higher risk of destabilizing and creating harmful chemicals in the fryer.
I will say these are actually darker.
They are.
They are. They're like
the darkest.
They are the darkest.
But not in a better way.
Here's what it is, and this is my prediction for the flavor
They're
as well.
a little splotchy.
They look drier.
Yeah.
It looks like they dried and then cooked, as opposed to fried with like that protective layer all around it, you know?
Damn.
Yeah, I might have just made a fact right now.
They dried, not fried.
Boom, and a rhyme to go with it.
Okay.
Okay, not
Not
bad.
bad.
Decent crack.
It's better than the canola or the vegetable oil already. Let's go for the
Color?
bite.
We didn't rate
No,
it.
we didn't rate the color. You're right.
Oh,
we gotta rate
yes,
ourselves.
that's
What are
right.
you gonna give it?
5.
I'll give it a 5 as well. The splotchiness and the darkiness of the way it was. This is way better than the canola and vegetable oil.
Way better.
Like, it's not even close.
After peanut, this is the better crunch.
Agreed. It has a similar crisp to peanut, but a little more fluffiness on the inside. It's crispier through the core. The
Okay.
inside has like a little bit of more of a crunch than a fluff.
I still prefer the peanut crunch.
Agreed. But this is really not bad. It almost makes it feel like there's more fry. The avocado feels like you're actually getting some potato in there. Chris, what are you gonna give it?
I thought you called me Chris.
My wife, Chris, what are you gonna give it?
For crunch, 8.
I'm gonna go with a 9.
I'm not getting that like dense oil aftertaste in my mouth.
Boy, okay. Hey, he caught it.
Let's go.
Nice.
Giga
My
Chad
turn.
Santi moment.
Okay.
Flavor-wise, this has been my favorite, I think. I get a very potato-y fry here. This is an 8.
An 8.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
Man, avocado oil was not one that I expected to be good. Honestly, I thought it would be one of those overhyped ones because avocados are just everywhere nowadays. But
Yeah, that is true.
the crisp and flavor were top notch. While it was a step below the peanut oil and crisp, it definitely wedged itself above olive oil and had just as good of a flavor as olive oil, our current top rank in the category. This leads us to the final
That's
test
good.
and the star of today's episode, beef
tallow.
But what is it
All
exactly?
right.
Tallow is made from the fatty tissue of animals like cows, sheep, or goats. It's kind of similar to
okay.
lard, the fat produced by pigs. But when cooked, tallow has more
Lard is the fat produced by pigs. I did not know that.
texture and a stronger flavor. It's
I knew it was a fat, I just didn't know where it came from.
made by heating and clarifying the fatty tissue formed around the organs, where it gradually melts and separates from any leftover meat and connective tissue. Then it's strained, cooled, hardened, and forms a solid white or yellowish substance ready to use for cooking. This is something you can
Okay.
actually do at home with your meat, if you really want to and have the time and dedication. That's partially why it's gotten a better rep over the last few years, because it's seen as more natural. But natural doesn't always mean better, as we
That is
quickly
true.
learned this round.
2 things I'm noticing right off the rip, very golden.
Very good, yeah.
Okay.
Not as much of a clean snap.
These are still wet. The others were drier.
So the crisp isn't really there. The crunch isn't really there.
No. A
And
little weak sauce.
it's giving as soon as you bite into it. Not
Yeah.
Gen Z giving, real giving.
It immediately is like
Now,
fine.
It-
I'm gonna
it's
give the
limp,
color like
lazy.
7.
yeah, I'll give it the color a 7. I think that's a fair
Good
assessment
color.
of crispiness.
But
Like a 4.
everything else is
It's not
low.
crispy, but it's not committed.
I'm gonna give it a 5. I'll be a little more generous.
I was expecting it to taste way more like beef tallow. It's actually way more neutral than I thought. I'm getting a little bit more of that like oil coating in my mouth, which I really don't love. I don't want that when I'm eating fries.
Yeah.
So my rating is more from that. I'm gonna do a 4.
I agree. I think the tallow, it has a lot of flavor because the tallow didn't get absorbed. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 10. for
You know,
flavor.
I can
Definitely a
respect
step above canola oil, but beef tallow led to some of the weakest crunch and fry integrity of the whole experiment.
Oh, yeah.
And sure, it did provide a nice flavor, but it didn't enhance the fry itself. In fact, it completely overpowered it. That's not to say that it's necessarily a bad thing,
Thanos.
but we're looking for what oil would highlight the fry the best. And since we're kicking tallow while it's down, this is where I'll
Oh,
highlight
damn.
that all the bad fats in the other oils, their levels were nothing compared to beef tallow. It has 6.37 grams per tablespoon serving, which is
Oh,
nearly
wow.
50% of the overall 12.8 grams. And like we learned earlier, saturated fats are linked to heart problems, inflammation, high cholesterol, and other chronic diseases. It does
Yeah,
have some
that
benefits
is
too,
bad.
but the main theme of this episode is that you'll lose any of those potential benefits when you start dunking your potatoes in the hot oil to fry. At the end of the day, when comparing the risks and benefits of seed oils versus beef tallow, it's difficult to say which one is technically healthier. Both have substances that provide
I mean, in all honesty, the healthiest oil is no oil. That's why a lot of places are trying to switch from using, oil fried to air fried. And of course, like I said, like way back in the beginning, air fried stuff is meant to be healthier because you're not using the oil. So it's, I actually have no way of explaining it.
essential nutrients that the
And hell, I've used an air fryer before.
body can't produce on its own. But they also both have their unique drawbacks, and they bring those downsides with them to our fries no matter what. The most important thing to remember is that fries aren't going to be healthy. You're not suddenly going to turn them into a healthy food by incorporating a different oil or beef tallow, especially not fast food places that reuse oils and overheat them to HE double hockey sticks and back. But as long as you understand that they're a treat to be had in moderation, that's the important thing. And if you're making them at home, when it comes down to which oil you should use, that depends on you. If you're someone like Claudia and I that value the crisp and crunch and textural experience of the fry above all else,
Definitely.
peanut oil is the clear winner. If you just want the golden look,
I like a fry that's crunchy with the crunch and crispy, but also has good flavor. If it's wobbly, I don't really mind that too much. Color does help with the appeal of it.
and don't care about the fast food oily flavor, vegetable oil is the pick for you. And if you're looking for the best complement to the potato flavor, that was a tie between olive oil and avocado oil. But that tie is broken by the one with the highest overall score and the newly crowned frying king, avocado oil.
All
But, hey,
right.
that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, if you want to see more
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.